Hello, welcome back to Newmarket. We've not been here for quite a while. It's Friday Night Live and we're here today promoting the new Comfortmix Hoof Casting fiberglass casting tape, which is a new product to the market, and we're really excited about this because we've been waiting for the Mustad brand to come through with a hoof cast for us. These are very important in the racing industry. They provide us with a really good maintenance tool to keep these thoroughbreds on the track and in training. So we're going to go through today how to apply these in two different ways. One with a full wrap, it will cover the sole, protect the sole, and one will cut the back out and the sole out to alleviate, to continue to help with contraction and expansion of the hoof whilst it's in work. So we'll go straight into it. We've actually got a horse here that we've been working on, and this horse has been racing and running in casts. We're going to kind of start at the end and work our way back. So this horse is in a cast. We get asked quite commonly, how do we remove a cast? So we're going to start by taking the cast off of this one, and then we'll go into the process of how to apply it. So the key things to look for, this cast has been on for 3 to 4 weeks, and you can just start to see a gap forming at the top and especially at the heels. So this is now telling me that this cast is ready to pop. And you know, any time now this horse could go out training, that cast pops and then the shoe comes off. That's not what we want. So realistically, 3 to 4 weeks time is all you're going to get out of one of these casts. So I'll just pop the shoe off. Now this horse is the reason why this horse is in a cast is that he's thin-soled, he's quite flat-footed, he doesn't have a lot of nail-in space, so it just gives us safety in nailing really, and it just holds a bit of his structure of his foot together by having the cast on. So you can see, pop the shoe off, but I'm sensing that these heels, the cast there is already flexing. These casts are ready to pop off. So first thing I do, just use my snips, get under the back of it, and you can see what you can see there. There's no bond anymore. The dirt's got in and it's broke down the bond between glue and hoof. So we just peel that back. Same on this side, it's popped. Peel it off at the heels, and then we'll take the foot forward. Anything we can peel off we will, if not we then have to rasp it off. Good lad. So the key points, taking the cast off, again we don't want to damage the wall, we're trying to protect the wall underneath, so as little damage that we provide to the wall the better we're going to be. I mean, ideally we're looking to get these horses out of casts, but you can see the track and the sand actually at the end of the casting cycle. The bond has broken down. Again, just use your snips, get under everywhere, and then a sharp rasp. Clean these up. And we are going to remove as much of the glue from the previous casting because we want to be able to bond to our hoof and get the nice bond so it lasts another 3 or 4 week cycle. So I won't bore you with removing all of that. I'm lucky enough to have a Charlotte, who's our first year apprentice, joined us this year. So Charlotte's going to continue to remove that, whilst we'll go up to our next horse where we're going to go through the procedure of actually applying the hoof cast. So if you follow me, guys. So this is William Haggis's training yard in Newmarket. We currently have 170 horses in training. and this is only January. By the time the season's in full swing, I think we're going to have about 240 horses in here. So these casts are really important to us to keep these horses on the track. So this guy's particular problem, he's got asymmetric front feet. This foot you can see is a little bit more upright. Not a box, but it's not as normal as the right four is, and we've been having nailing on trouble with this guy. We're just running out of wool, so this is going to be a standard cast on the foot just to give us something to nail to, and by applying the cast to this foot it will make it look a little bit more symmetrical and match up with the right four. So again, it's just keeping things balanced and keeping the feet as maintained as we can. So the shoe's already been removed off of this guy. First thing, we're just going to clean up our wool a little bit. I don't want to over rast these walls because we're trying to keep the wool's strength. If we keep thinning it out through cleaning it up to apply the cast, we're going to keep thinning that wool each time, and ultimately these racehorses, once they go into a cast at the start of the season, they're going to be in it all season really. The walls aren't, we know, anatomy tells us wool needs oxygen to promote good wool. If we cover it with the cast, it's kind of a necessary evil. We're going to have to do it to keep these horses on the track. So if we limit damage we do to the foot underneath, that's what we're looking to do. So key areas of locking in for the cast are always going to be this heel area, medial and lateral. Clean those up. We're just creating a bit of a roughened surface really, just for our glues to attach and bond. So again, I'm not going to use sandpaper, anything like that. I'm just using the smooth side of the rasp just to clean up, take any debris off. Same thing, just clean up my key area on the medial heel. That's it. And then just clean up a little bit over the sole. Again, these guys, they don't have much sole. I don't ever look to remove too much out of these guys. We're just cleaning it up. So this is realistically a 5-inch foot. I like to use the 3-inch cast on most of my feet because the most thoroughbred feet distance from coronary band to toe is 3 inches. So when I put my cast to it, I'm coming down just below a centimetre or so below the coronary band, which will give me a centimetre overlap onto the sole. So as I'm wrapping round, it will build up the solar side of the wall, and that will just give me a nice platform to put the shoe onto. So it just lifts a horse as well. So if we're lacking in a bit of depth to the foot, by using the cast and just using a little overlap, that will just bring the foot up. So you don't have to have much kit to apply these casts, so you're not carrying around boxes and boxes of stuff. Acrylic glue, a cling wrap, and your rasp is pretty much all you need. I will use a heat gun just to dry off the hoof wall, take any grease out, just again so we get a good bond. I like to just use these little flambe torches. Again, I can just dry the hoof wall out. Again, we're just trying to get a good bond. This is Newmarket answer to hot shoeing. This is as close as we come to a bit of smoke. So again, you can see the packaging comes in a nice Comfortmix package. 3 inch. They do these in a 2.5 inch and a 2 inch. So you've got the range for different size feet. Now when you first pull these out of the packet, they should be, something to check for, nice and sticky. That's what you're looking for, and soft to use. You've probably got, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes before these actually start to set on their own. They are activated by water to set them into the car. So using my acrylic glue, it's about, I'll be asked, how much glue do I use? That's kind of 1.5 pumps out of the gun. As a quantity, I'm not really 100% sure, but it'd be, I don't know, if you used a coffee cup, if you use sort of 1.5 centimetres in the bottom of a coffee cup, mixed it up, that's what you get. And it's a cold day today, so this acrylic's going to take quite a while before it goes off, so we don't have to be rushing our procedure. Make sure the white's all mixed in. So we've got that, and it's just about getting everything prepared in the right space. This is kind of exactly how I do it in real time. My cast, again, I like to unravel the first sort of 7 or 8 inches, because that's my first bond that's going to go on the foot. I'll just activate it, squeeze it out. So you don't need these sopping wet. They will go off with just enough moisture to set them off. So again, pop that down, and then just apply sort of 3 blobs, one at the toe, one at the lateral heel, one at the medial heel. Just apply those 3 blobs, and then I'll just smooth it round the foot. Again, them key areas are going to be the heels, and that's because as the foot weight bears and expands, that's where your cast is always going to pop when it's reached the end of its cycle. And you don't have to have masses of glue on here. So grab my cast, like I say, I pull the first sort of 7 inches out, let that just wrap, sort of dangle over the medial side. This is a left 4, so we just let that go over the medial side, attach it to the glue there, and then I work round in an anti-clockwise position. That gives me the best control over the wrap. If you unwind it the other way, I guess if you're left-handed it'll be different, but right hand, if you unroll it the other way around, it kind of falls away from you and you can't get a nice tight control of it. So I work upside down. Some guys take these forward on the stand. I find it easier to work this way. I'm just looking to make sure I've got that centimetre gap at the coronary band, and just wrap it round. Again, I'm using my thumb on the top in the central cleft just to hold it all in place. And you can see this overlap here. By the time we've wrapped that, that will give us a nice lift to the bottom of this foot, so it will give us a bit of depth. Now you get roughly 12 rotations out of one of these casts. So if you're working on a 5-inch foot, you will get 6 rotations per foot. I've found that if you start going up into like 5.25, 5.5 inch feet, if you don't have enough material around the heels, they do pop early at like 2 weeks. So generally I'll go 8 to 9 rotations, and that will then stay on for that life. So then I'll end up using a cast per foot. And as farriers go, we hate waste, but that's as much waste. You have to get used to sometimes having the waste, but in your costings obviously charging for what you're not using because you've had to use the product. So I get it all in place, just start to smooth it out, just sort of use my thumbs and create them frog clefts, because later when I come to cut the back out, I'll be using them as a channel for my rasp to carve out. So you can see now, just fold that excess over the sole, which is what I'm looking for to give me that bit of height, and then I use my cling wrap. Again, I'm quite liberal with this, I don't want it coming off. Wrap that round several times, and then again fold it all in, fold it down, and then just let the horse weight bear, and he'll self-level that. The other reason I like using the 3-inch tape on a 3-inch foot that's coronary band to toe is that when you're wrapping round, you're getting even wraps and you don't get the lines in the cast that if you don't rasp out at the end, it can look a bit ugly. You end up with a nice smooth. I'm trying to mimic, I'm trying for that to look like hoof at the end, basically. We're trying to mask the fact that we're using a cast, and hey, good boy. You know, we don't want it to be that noticeable. So that is how we've applied that one. This is Luana. She's a second-year apprentice, so she's going to stand with this horse now. Just make sure that sets, and we'll come back to him whilst we go and apply a full cast wrap back to our first horse. So, we'll gather up our stuff. So we're very fortunate, and we couldn't do without them really, the team, the apprentice team that farriers need in racing, because it's such a high demand service industry. We need a team of guys at all different levels to be able to offer the service and get the work done. And they're all important as each other, right from the first year holding horses, wrenching and clenching, up to the last guy that's actually shoeing. So everyone's part of it. Right, so this guy, you can see now Charlotte has prepped his walls, roughened them up. And you can see there's very little wall space with this guy, and there's no sole growth. These soles are they're not generating any kind of nice depth or flakiness. So this guy's going to have a full wrap. It's going to cover the sole, everything. So it's as if, again, before the cast came out, a foot like this, I might be trying to use a leather pad to protect his soles, or a plastic pad or something like that, just to give him a bit of protection. Whereas with the cast, we can do it all in one. So I'll just clean up them heel spaces. Just knock a bit of toe. I always use this opportunity. If I'm using a cast, I'll take the opportunity to pull the toe back a little bit harder than perhaps what I might if I wasn't using the cast, because I can get this foot back to where I kind of want it. But I've got the confidence that we're putting a cast on, and I'm going to be nailing through that cast, and I don't nail through the wall, so I can be a little bit more aggressive in pulling the angles back. Because ultimately, while we're putting the cast on, we've extended the toe of the foot again, which we'll come to later when I apply my shoes and talk about that. So, back to it. Again, a little bit of heat just to dry that out. Good lad. Good lad. Good boy. Good boy. And this is kind of the pace that we'd be working at in an everyday scenario. We're trying to get through numbers of horses, so everything's got to be organised and planned. So we're not wasting time, we're being efficient with our working methods. Like that. And the cling film. So again, one and a squidge is enough material for that. Again, making sure you've got the white mixing in with the beige, so you end up with a creamy colour. If you don't, some people use nozzles to mix, you end up with a bit of material in them nozzles. So again, you're sort of maximising the amount of acrylic you get out of the carton or out the cartridge by not using a nozzle. So there, just give that to you, Charlotte. Again, make sure that it's nice and soft and pliable. Get the first bit out, activate it, squeeze out the excess moisture, and put that back down. So exactly the same as before, 3 blobs. One in the toe, one at the heels, one on the medial heel. Up my lad. Again, just an even amount across the foot. Get rid of the excess. Same thing. Pull myself a little stretch out first. Let it just wrap round. This is kind of your guide. Wrap round the medial side so it's stuck to the glue. Thumb in the back of the central cleft to hold it in position. Let it overhang the sole by that sort of centimetre what we was looking for, and then you know you're not on the coronary band. If you don't have that centimetre of overlap, you've got a 3-inch cast and a 3-inch foot, so you're going to know that you're on the coronary band. We're looking for that space out. So once I've gone round several times for a full wrap or a full sole wrap, I'm happy that that's secure in position. So then I'll go round and then I'll just come across on the diagonal. I'll go round and then come from the medial side, cross on the diagonal, and basically just keep overlapping them so I get the same amount of material on the foot as to where I want it. And you will use, good boy, you will use a full cast on this now, because we're aiming for giving him nice sole protection. And then to finish off, you feel your cast start to thin out, and then I'll come back for a full wrap to secure everything in position. Now at this point, you're kind of looking at it and think, wow, how does this become flat? Again, smooth all your contours out, get your frog in, and then just tuck it under, tuck it in there, fold it over, and these are really nice. They've got just the right amount of activation in these casts. I can feel it already starting to bond and knit together. Put your wrap round. I always put plenty on now for the full sole wrap, so that when he puts his foot down on a nice flat surface, we'll get a nice flat cast. Wrap that right up and then let him just weight bear, and again let that go off, harden up, and that will protect his sole nice. Now some people are going to worry thinking, well, we've now encased the hoof, what if there's bacteria in there and something brews up? Well, obviously that can happen, but we're hoping that it doesn't. We've cleaned the foot, we've degreased the foot with the flambe torch, and we monitor these horses a lot. Some people will put copper sulfate on the sole. That will kill any bacteria that's building up in there. But these guys, again, we're doing them sort of 3 to 4 week cycle, so we won't let it, we shouldn't be letting it get to a point where something's going to grow and breed under there. When we remove that in 4 weeks time, we'll probably take an evening. We could remove that, take the evening, clean the sole up, disinfect any areas, and then recast the next day, or even the same day if it was morning and afternoon, just to make sure that foot's totally clean of bacteria. So we'll go back to the first horse, just having the back cut out. Now I use my Hella XL old rasps. We cut these down and they make perfect little cast rasps for being able to get in and cut the casts out at the back. Go up to that guy. Oops, sorry, cameraman. So at this point now, this cast has been on, I'm not sure how long we've been, but probably 5 to 10 minutes. Cut your cling wrap and it should be nice and hard to enable us to start work on the cleanup, which it is. You want that nice hard consistency forming. So again, if we look round before we start a cleanup, just giving ourselves a plan. I've got a nice bit off the coronary band there, just creeping up a little bit high there, so I'll just carve that out with a rasp as well, and we'll just clean that up. So I use the Hella XL that I've cut down, and where I put my channels in earlier with my thumbs when I pressed them in when the cast was nice and soft, I can use them as my guide to carving the back out. So just using the corner, again being careful, making sure we don't go through to his hoof or the bulb of the heel. We'll just run that down. Again, take your time, there's no need to rush this bit. The last thing you want to do is weaken the hoof. And then when you feel like you're sort of 3/4 depth through the cast, that should then just snap out. So again, I just get my snips, because they're thinner blade, can just get in behind the cast and into the central cleft area, and then it should just snap, see that, and peel it out. Like so, and then same again, push it in through the back, bit of leverage, and just peel it out. Now the other key point for a cast when cutting them out is have a really, I usually have an old really thin blade that I can then get under the cast and have it nice and sharp, so you can just carve it out. That one's quite tough. Again, we've got to take out the pressure around them seater corns. We now treat the cast as hoof, basically. Once it's set and it's bonded, it's now giving you a nice bit of mass to work with and put back what you were lacking in the hoof. So I'm just taking away that sole pressure to give us a bit of sole relief for when we put the shoes on. So that centimetre of cast that we wrapped over to give us, that's given us a lovely platform there now and a bit of lift to apply our shoe to, a nice little rim round. So again, I'm going to just treat it like hoof. Level it up. Which looks good. And then I'll just take a bit of time now. At this point, I'm going to take that foot forward again as hoof. Just give it a little run round and just thin it out on the heel quarters. Because again, like hoof, the back of the foot's for expansion and contraction. The cast itself will be locking that foot up. But if we just thin it and just try and, again, just treat it like, and it'll just give you a nicer finish as well when you're clenching up. Again, if so the bit that I was concerned about that's being a little bit too close to the coronary band for my liking, here, again I can literally use the corner of my rasp. Again, being careful, we don't want to score his coronary band, and then that will just peel up and give us a nice attachment there. So again, where it's a little bit steppy there, I'm just going to thin that again so it's more hoof like, because again I want these to be slick looking. I don't want a big blob on the end of his foot. So this foot that started out a little bit upright and not very nice shape, by putting the cast on, has given us a nice, reasonably normal looking front foot. So I will just go and grab my shoeing stuff. These are a real handy thing to have around a race yard, carrying all your stuff around. We've got all our shoes in there. There's nothing worse than having to running backwards and forwards for stuff. So I'm predicting this guy is going to be a 5 or a 6. So I'm using the St. Croix Concord aluminium racing plates. You can see we always drill out the backs of our nail holes. This provides us with extra pitch when nailing onto angulated feet. They all come, we box them all up before they come out of the workshop. These are a really nice lightweight plate. So this guy, we've got a toe clip on the other foot, so I'm going to put a toe clip on this foot. Again, because this foot was slightly more upright, I feel that the angles are still correct, so I can apply a toe clip. The other horse we're going to go unclipped with, because he's low heeled, broken back, so we'll take a bit of the leverage away from him. So we've got a number 6, good boy. Again, just our basics. We're looking to make sure the shoe's in the centre of his foot, centre of steel, centre of heel, centre of stock. Again, I'm just gonna pop my clip hole in there. And we're just looking to fit this now as you would fit to your normal hoof. Nice clip fit. Just give that a little tweak in and a bit there. Up my lad. Nice inside fit. Just going to get rid of that heel check. Nice smooth. I never like anything flush fitting on the inside with these racers. They go in and out of spars, on and off horse boxes, aeroplanes if they're flying abroad for racing. You don't want any sort of chance for that to grab. Make sure everything's smoothed off. So there's 2 ways to rasp a heel check out. You can go on your stand and just take the checks out in that fashion. Rasp them up like that. Or a nice way that a guy taught me. I've done a clinic in Turkey and you can learn from everybody. The guy taught me you can use your rasp like a linisher and you can just use it like that. Take your heel checks out and then you can even use it any additional boxing needed. Again on that inside. Again, these are the Hella XL rasps. They're great for this because they're nice and wide, which are a good platform to work on and box in. That's that. Up we go. So happy with that. So we can nail it on. And again, when nailing, we're fitted to our parameters of the cast, so we know that we're going to be nailing through that. I'm using my favourite nail, the Hammerhead 1. It's a great plate nail and training nail. Direct drive. The head of the Hammerhead is providing us with a good fit. And the locking mechanism that locks into the aluminium keeps the shoes on nice and tight. Again with a cast, I try to spread my nails out so that we're not applying too much pressure to one area of the cast. In a nice traditional toe, quarter and heel nail. And it gives you confidence when you're plating these races and you've got this cast on, and previously you'd be struggling to get a nail in and you're always second guessing yourself, and is the shoe on tight enough? Like I say, these have got to go on and off. Lorries here, there and everywhere. The training regimes have now changed. We've got treadmills in racing yards that are quite an aggressive tool on feet really, especially shod feet. There's a lot of friction on them and shoes moving and twisting. So again, it's a great thing to have for a horse that's long-term treadmilling, because you can use it to get nice strong nails. So that looks like a lovely strong foot there now. You know, we've got that nice sort of depth to the foot, which is what that first centimetre fold over of cast gave us. We place her on the floor. You can see it's a very nice fit, and you know, again, it's just given me confidence that I know we've done everything to the best of our ability for the horse, so it can stay in training. Right, what I'm going to do is leave that foot to clench for Luana whilst we move on to our full sole protected cast, and then we'll come back and have a look at that Luana when it's all cleaned up. Right, back to this guy. So we had the full sole protection on this guy, and we're hoping for this to be lovely and flat. Harden off. So yep, we've got a nice flat hardened surface. Now, key points about if you're going to leave casts on full like this, obviously we have restricted the expansion at the back of the foot. You have these little sharp points where the casts overlap, these sharp areas here on these bowls. We must remove that, which will allow for a little bit of expansion. But I also believe that by locking the foot up, these big flat feet, they don't want too much expansion, so by locking it up, for me it's a benefit. And then we've provided the sole protection for these thin-soled horses as well. We'll just have a look at that with a lateral angle. So you can see this horse is broken back, even though the cast on is still low-heeled and what appears to be long-toed, but I'll be more on the low-heeled side of things now. So what I do with these, again, I use my half round nippers, and I just come in the central cleft, removing them sharp points of cast. It's almost creating a bar shoe effect within the cast. Anyway, you can get your thumb down and there's a gap. You can then just get the snips in there and just remove them sharp edges. Which you can see there now. And you've got the, you know, the bulb movement. Again, I'm going to make sure this foot's flat. So we've got a good base to place our shoe. And again, I will take it forward and just dress it slightly, just to clean all the lumps and bumps and keep it looking smart. Good boy. And now it's got a sole guard on. They will slide about the stand a little bit sometimes. Again, we're looking, we don't want it on the coronary band. We've got a good distance. This bit now is just, you know, it could be me being pedantic or what, but I always want a high quality finish We're working on nice horses. You're charging the right money. You want to present your work well. So it's just that extra bit of finish we're looking for. Again, just thinning it from the top down so it doesn't look cumbersome on the end of a... So this guy is not going to benefit from being in a toe clip shoe because, one, we've extended the toe by putting the cast on. He's already low heeled. We need to put the brake over into this foot and take the leverage away. So handy little clip tip. Again, you don't want to be walking backwards and forwards to the workshops. They're quite easy to remove clips on steel aluminium shoes. Just bend it up as if you're setting it up, and then just flat edge straight down with your hammer, and it will just shear, and you'll get that sheared off nice. And again, back to your mobile linisher. Just to take that small lump that's left at the back. We're trying to make everything as efficient as possible. When we've got lots of horses to shoe, you want procedures in place. So unclip shoe, I'm just setting it back from the cast so I can see my point of frog there. Again, look down, near enough there, little tapping. I don't want any edges for these guys. These currently are racing. These are our all-weather winter runners, so we don't want any grabbing opportunities for them to pull the shoes. I'll look down that again. Yep, happy with that. Right, we'll knock that on. Good boy. Good lad. Same as before. Evenly spaced nails if we can. Just setting it back under that toe. My tip for nailing on unclipped shoes is if you put your heel nails in first, it generally stops the shoe coming back. When you use toenails, you generally find that the shoes push back on you and they'll come too far under. So I'll just put the heel nails in first. And you can almost see me, I'm pitching out because I've fitted the shoe under the cast. I've kind of fitted it to where the foot was, not where the cast is. And then you can get good strong nails. If you fit around the cast, you end up making the foot bigger, which is not what you want. Sometimes with these casts, when you've used a whole wrap and you've really thickened that wall up, the cast itself is that hard, you might have to use a nail as a sort of a donor nail or a pilot that has to go in and then pull that out and go with a fresh one. Sometimes they'll bend where the cast is that hard. You can just see that one there was desperate to bend on me, which I wasn't happy with. So now that I've created that hole, it's very difficult with a cast to get out of that old nail hole. It's coming out a bit low. That's it. One thing you might have noticed, I haven't drawn up my nails when putting them into cast, because again, this is, you know, a weaker material than hoof. If we draw up, we run the risk of just dragging our nails down and pulling it down through the cast, which again is not what we want. So I'll just drive them into the cast and then we'll just clench up, pull them over with the clenching, not drawing up hard. So you can see there, number 6, we kind of got our, I'm always looking for a 40-60 ratio, 40% in front of the centre of rotation, 60% behind. That's where our toe finish. So we've brought the brake over back, nice symmetrical shoe, and like I say, we've got a nice bit here, no grabs for the cast to pinch them bulbs. Now the other thing I do, I've touched on it earlier with the bacteria. Have we got a anti-bac here? No, we haven't. If you could just clench that for me and then nip off and get a hoof hygiene, and then we'll just hoof hygiene that one afterwards. So let's go back and have a look at the one that Luana's clenched, and that should be all nice and ready to go. Yep. So you can see there, it's a lovely, it's a really nice finish. It's enabled us to fit the shoe perfectly where we want it, nail it on strong and safe, and we'll be happy for this horse to go out into the training regime and be comfortable that we've got a good strong fit. So again, after every shoe application that we do, I'm a huge promoter in this hoof hygiene liquid, especially for stall bound horses. You know, these are living in here 23 hours a day. We want to keep the foot nice and healthy. The hoof hygiene does that for us. It's great with any cases of thrush. It's great in prevention of thrush, and if any horse does have thrush, we'll give this to the head lad, use it on the frog. By the time the end of the bottle is used, the thrush seems to have disappeared. So it's a great product for that. We want to take this back to the other horse, and we're going to put that under that sole as well, because where we created the gap at the bulbs, we can get that in and make sure there's no bacteria going into that foot. And it's all these little bits that, you know, is that extra time in doing stuff, but it makes a difference. All these little bits, hoof hygiene in, cleaning feet, it just keeps things functioning as they would. So again, we've got that nice little gap. We can just put that in, and that'll just keep that central cleft and that frog nice and healthy for us. And then just that little bit of extra finish. And if you notice, that other cast was nice and black. Luana had already blacked it up, but I am always looking for a high quality finish, give our clients the best looking feet that we can. We're using nice products to keep everything right, so we want to use our skills and keep everything looking nice to a high level. And again, this doesn't alter the cast whatsoever or the makeup of the cast, and it just gives us a nice high quality finish. So I'm really pleased with how they've gone. I hope that that's been explained and makes it a practical application for guys using it. Obviously, if there's any questions, bang it onto the comments page. We'll answer as many as we can. And it's been great doing an Mustad live. Again, it's been a long while. It's the start of the season. We're looking forward to a busy year, and I hope everyone else is going to have a nice busy year shoeing horses and apply their skills to create the best they can for all our equines. So thank you again, and we'll see you all soon.